Hi. My name is Dorothy Pomerantz. Are you ready for some more fun BRCA stories? My story is very similar to Sarah's. So like her, I'm an Ashkenazi Jew. I'm going to steal someone else's joke and say I did find out I was 100% Ashkenazi Jew when I did my 23andMe, and it came with a copy of Fiddler on the Roof. It's not my joke, but I thought it was funny. So I decided to do 23andMe in June of 2018. I'm a former journalist, so I'm naturally curious, and I've been reading a lot about genetic testing, and I figured sort of why not. My history of cancer is that my father's sister, Sybil, had died of breast cancer before I was born, but she's the only person in my very large extended family who had had cancer. My grandmother, her mother, had 4 sisters, and none of them had had cancer. I had talked to doctors before about genetic testing, but none of them, and they're all really excellent doctors, thought that my family history was enough to really require me to get tested. They said I had the option, but none of them ever said to me, you need to get this testing done. So when I did 23andMe, I was really expecting to get confirmation that I did not carry the BRCA mutation. When I opened the email, it led me to a long tutorial, which I quickly clicked through to get to my results. And at that moment, my world stopped. The results showed really terrible news, which was that I had BRCA1 mutation. That meant I had a 72% chance of getting breast cancer and a 44% chance of getting ovarian cancer. In that moment, my life changed. I stood there in my home office and I was stunned. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. I really couldn't believe that this was true. I called my doctor, and she put me right in touch with a breast doctor at Cedars-Sinai who agreed to see me the next day. In the hospital, she said to me, we don't take action based on 23andMe tests. You have to do another test. That gave me a little window to think that maybe this was not an accurate test, but of course, like with Sarah's experience, the second test showed that it did indeed confirm that I had the BRCA1 mutation. But this time when I got the results, it felt different, it felt calmer. Danielle, my genetic counselor, said she would not give me the results via email, and she wouldn't even give them to me over the phone. I had to come into the office. I was going to be away for 2 weeks in Europe, and I said to her, please, please, I have to know over the phone. I can't know that you know, and I don't know. And she very reluctantly agreed to talk to me on the phone. She called me while I was on vacation in Italy and confirmed that, in fact, the test was correct and that I did have this mutation. But when she called me, I was able to talk through with her what this meant. She was a sympathetic voice on the phone. She let me know that although this was serious, that I was going to be okay. She asked me what I needed in that moment. Did I need to cry? Did I need to vent? Did I want to be alone? Did I want information? I made the choice to have a preventative oophorectomy and double mastectomy. I have 2 children. I have a lot of friends who were going through menopause. This was a very easy decision for me to make. Short-term pain for years of relief and the ability to be there for my children as they were growing up. Almost a year later, I'm healthy, and I'm very grateful that I found out about this mutation when I did. I consider myself incredibly lucky. I got the information that I was able to act on. While the surgeries were difficult, they were nothing compared to what those surgeries would have been like if I had cancer. But I was also left with some ambiguous feelings about the way that I found this information out. Without a service like 23andMe, I'm sure I never would have gotten tested. I have a full-time job, and I have 2 children. I would not have made the time or the effort to go to see a genetic counselor because my risk didn't seem high enough. But at the same time, getting these results in what was essentially an email was truly terrible. In that moment, I felt confused and alone. My mind immediately went to the worst places. I suddenly felt like cancer was lurking in my body. I thought of Angelina Jolie, and I tried to wrap my head around the fact that I was most likely going to have my breast removed. I was lucky that I was able to quickly get my doctor on the phone, and she was able to talk to me before I went too deep down a BRCA Google hole. But what about the women who can't get their doctors on the phone? And what about the women who don't have doctors at all? I'm not the first person to get surprising news like this, and I'm not going to be the last. About half of the women with a BRCA mutation have no family history of breast cancer. which means plenty of women who turn to 23andMe because it's fun or because Cinema was pointing out the way that it's marketed, they're going to get news that's going to have very real consequences. And while the mutation is terrifying, a clean bill of health from 23andMe could be an even worse outcome. The company's FDA-approved test only looks for 3 variants of BRCA mutation, and they're prevalent in Ashkenazi Jewish women. There are more than 1,000 potential variants of BRCA. That means that a woman could do the 23andMe health screen, get a report of no mutation, but still have a mutation. This is not to say that 23andMe shouldn't offer a health screen. I believe this is an incredibly valuable service. But when dealing with serious health issues, people need a human person to walk them through it. I wish that I'd gotten my diagnosis from a person instead of an email, so I could have had someone in that moment to support me. At the end of the day, the customer experience matters. At-home genetic tests could be so much more valuable if they only offered users a way to quickly get in touch with a genetic counselor. The information in these results are complicated and nuanced, as with every big health decision in our lives, and we need people to help us walk us through the dark. Thank you.